Hello, my beautiful movie people. Thank you so much for clicking on an episode of Side Flick. My name is Chris. We got a lot of movie news to discuss here today, so let's just jump right into it. Some of the stuff we're going to be discussing here today is updates continuing on with the Fantastic Four. Let me tell you, I am becoming just tired of it, and I want the official thing. We got the never-ending saga of Warner Brothers from so many angles. One, how it's affecting their partnership with other studios. Talking about the likelihood that Ezra Miller could stay on as the Flash even after the Flash movie, as well as even Jason Momoa Aquaman teasing 2 Batman showing up in Aquaman 2. It's gonna be that kind of day, y'all. That along with so much more, so many of you guys give me your opinions down below with everything we discuss here today. Just a little heads up for some of my horror fanatics. It's said that today we will be getting the trailer for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, and well, you guys like when I talked about that, so I'll probably be doing a separate video when that trailer drops, so just be on the lookout today. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into all the movie news. Starting off here talking about the Fantastic Four, because we've gotten several updates in the past couple of days. The most notable one being that they finally found the replacement director for John Watts, and that'll be Matt Shakman, who was the director of the WandaVision series. And I gotta be honest with you guys, this wasn't really the name I was expecting. When we heard about Marvel trying to look for a replacement for John Watts, it was said that Kevin Feige was looking for someone super experienced that he wouldn't have to babysit while they're making the Fantastic Four, and he could worry about other projects. So that led a lot of us to believe that we would get a big household name. There was even rumors that Steven Spielberg would be in it. We knew that was BS, but still, Matt Shakman kind of took me by surprise, but really looking at it, we shouldn't be that surprised. I still think WandaVision is one of their best Disney Plus series. Like, the era of WandaVision was unparalleled. I don't know if it was because we just went through a dry season of no Marvel stuff for a whole year, that when WandaVision came on, I remember waking up 2 a.m., drinking my energy drinks, and then watching that episode, getting online, and seeing people talk about it all day. To now we move forward 7 Disney Plus shows later, we don't have that same hype and energy anymore. I don't see that many people speculating or even getting onto it. I've even seen some people who just skip a series here and there and just watch the YouTube videos explaining what happens. So I think there is something to be said with this director that he could probably pull off a really great Fantastic Four movie. Now the only thing I'm wondering is, who is your dang cast? Because the rumors and non-stop fan casting are not going anywhere. And I think the parts that is frustrating me so much is because I know we're about to get that official announcement come D23 in less than like a week and a half. They're gonna have that presentation, and I feel like they're just gonna announce the Fantastic Four there. Because if they don't, I think I'm gonna lose my mind, man. I can't go another year of just seeing random Fantastic Four fan casting, people wanting John Krasinski, not wanting John Krasinski. Kevin Feige, let the madness end. But with these updates concerning the Fantastic Four, how do you feel about it? Do you think D23 will finally be the official announcement of the full roster, or are they going to make us continue to wait? Moving on here, let's talk about the long list of stuff we have concerning Warner Brothers, because it's a whole bunch. Starting off with some Aquaman 2 talk. Let me tell you guys, I am extremely confused with what is going on with the DC Universe, specifically with Aquaman 2. You guys might have already seen a previous video where I explained there was a big problem whenever they decided to delay The Flash and Aquaman. It created this weird scenario where Aquaman 2 had a cameo for Michael Keaton's Batman, but that only made sense if you saw the Flash movie first. But because at one point Aquaman 2 was going to come out before The Flash, they decided to throw in that Ben Affleck cameo. And then again, with another delay, Aquaman 2 is now after The Flash, so it made you think, did they film that Ben Affleck cameo for nothing? Now we have Jason Momoa himself recently on a red carpet talking about Ben Affleck, and he says this.
You teased that Ben Affleck might be returning in Aquaman 2. What can you tease about your reunion with Mr. Affleck?
I love Ben. I love him deeply, and yeah, it. Ben's coming back, and hey, right here on Access. Yeah, it's wonderful. We have a lot of surprises.
That's got to be music to some people's ears right there. Hearing him say Ben is coming back, that doesn't just sound like him saying Ben is coming back for Aquaman 2. That makes him sound like Ben is coming back for more stuff in the DCEU. But then he continues on with another interview, and now I'm even more confused.
Well, I can't tell you anything about the reunion. He may or may not be in it, and there could be more or less, or even more Batman's in it. Who knows? You only know a little bit.
Sounds like what he's teasing here is they could end up using both cameos, and that would blow my mind. For one, it's so funny that Jason Momoa is just right out spoiling something that's going to take up maybe 30 seconds to a minute of time in his movie. But can you imagine if they end up using both the Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck cameo? What if that is their setup to their Crisis on Infinite Earth event? That maybe by the end of the Flash movie, we have a world where both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck exist in it, and then they're both in Bruce Wayne outfits going up to Jason Momoa's Aquaman like, we have a problem and we gotta fix it. I really don't know, but Jason Momoa, I need you to either be more clear or stop teasing us, man. What do you guys think about Jason Momoa's comments on Batman? Does this mean we'll see both the cameos? Does it mean we'll see one over the other? Or really, does the DCU not even know what they want, and by next year, it'll all be changed? Sticking on the train here of Warner Brothers, this was something I found really interesting. Recently, with everything going on at Warner Brothers, them canceling projects, them just erasing so many movies from HBO Max or selling them off to other streaming services, we got a recent report that a studio like Legendary Entertainment is trying to remove themselves from Warner Brothers and go work with a different studio. Now, for those of you who don't know, Legendary Entertainment are the ones who right now own the US rights for Godzilla, and they've had a contract with Warner Brothers to make the movies alongside with them, is that we share the money, you distribute it, and then we share the profits. Even early on, Legendary helped finance a lot of DC movies, and they just had a great partnership. But all of that changed when the pandemic hit, and Warner Brothers thought it would be a great idea to release a bunch of their big budget movies the same day they drop on HBO Max. And that's where we started seeing all these reports with Legendary and Warner Brothers just fighting each other, them being so upset that a movie like Godzilla vs. Kong that they put 90% of the money into was just being dropped on HBO Max without their consent, without them being talked about, and them probably losing so much money. Same thing with Dune and whatnot. So it seems like the aftermath of all those effects are coming into play, and Legendary is looking to move with Paramount or Sony. I do see a lot of people blaming Discovery for this, but I think a lot of this has to do also with the previous ownership of Warner Brothers, because I think all of this stems from that HBO Max deal. But I think a lot of things Discovery has recently been doing with Warner Brothers doesn't help Legendary out in wanting to stay with them. And it just makes me wonder, what does this mean then for the future of like the MonsterVerse movies? Because we have a new Godzilla vs. Kong that's up and coming, that's being made with Warner Brothers and Legendary. That's gonna happen. But I'm thinking to myself, they're probably going to want to make more MonsterVerse movies. Can they move that MonsterVerse over now to Sony or Paramount? Would that work, or would they have to then reboot the MonsterVerse after that because it's with a whole new studio? Also, whether they go with Sony or Paramount, I'm thinking they're going to go with Sony. The main reason I think that is because Sony is like one of the only studios that isn't hell-bent on trying to make their own streaming service. They're fine with making stuff and then selling it to a streaming service. Paramount right now is focused on Paramount Plus, and they're still trying to do that here, and I think Legendary doesn't want to get mixed in with a studio that is focusing on a streaming service when they still believe in big blockbuster movie events. But man, this is another L in a major chain of L's that Warner Brothers has been taking lately. It's not looking good, guys, and I wonder if in a couple years Warner Bros. Is going to survive all of this. I throw it off to you guys. How do you feel about a studio like Legendary wanting to part ways with Warner Brothers, and what do you think will happen of the MonsterVerse? From here, another thing that's kind of been interesting to hear about lately is an update on the whole Ezra Miller situation. Now, thankfully, this update doesn't come with any crazy headlines or more crimes being committed. It seems like Ezra is keeping to a life of rehab where they're getting some help. And that's a good thing because we don't have to worry about more delays or just drama going on with the Flash movie. We could just finally get to a point where they release posters, trailers, teasers, because I want to see me some of that stuff for the Flash. Rumors and reports have it that the film is really good. It tests as high as the Dark Knight trilogy. That's exciting to hear, and it just makes me want to see more footage of this actual movie. But I think the conversation a lot of us DC fans have had, even with all this going on, is once the Flash is released, that's probably the last we see of Ezra Miller. Whether they have more headlines or crimes committed, they probably don't want to risk just another movie being made that hinges on a star like Ezra that was known to have some bad history. Well, then it was being reported that Ezra went and actually met with some of the executives at Warner Brothers and Discovery, went as far as to have a sit-down meeting with them, and everything seemed to go really smoothly. I mean, according to Entertainment Weekly, that was able to get in contact with some of Ezra Miller's people, said that the whole thing was quoted as a very positive meeting, which makes me think we could maybe see a future here where Ezra Miller stays on And I'm just so conflicted on how to feel about that. One, I don't think it's worth the risk again. Like, nothing against Ezra. This might be the last. They could be fully redeemed and have nothing but a great career here on out. But just with like the headline after headline, accusation after accusation, it just felt like it really was not worth it to keep this person on to then make another $100 million movie bout. But if it's true that Ezra's having very positive meetings with executives at Discovery, and the people at Discovery seem to really like Ezra, oh man, there really could be a future where they stay on. And like, part of me continuity wise likes that, so we don't have to create like a dumb reason for why Barry Allen's The Flash looks completely different one movie from the next, or why it's considered like a soft reboot, or maybe why we have to start introducing characters like Wally West and all that super early into the franchise. Like, it would just be nice to see them continue the story they had planned, if there was a plan, especially if this Flash movie is as good as they say it is. And like, they even say specifically Ezra Miller's Barry Allen in the movie has a great arc in that film, and if I grow to really like Ezra's Barry Allen in the Flash movie, it's gonna kind of suck to see that actor go. But I can't stop listening to the voice in the back of my head that's like, don't take the risk, it's not worth it, just drop them. You can hire them in a different movie if they continue being good. But I don't know. Warner Brothers is really caught in some interesting predicaments the past couple of weeks. This is just going to be one of them that could affect their far future. I throw it off to you guys. If you think Ezra Miller stays squeaky clean this entirety until The Flash is released and people respond well to the Flash movie, what percentage of a chance do you think Ezra Miller stays on as the Flash? Right now, if all that happens, stay squeaky clean, no drama, no issues, people like the Flash, I'm going with like a 60-70% chance. And oh man, I just don't know if it's worth the risk. We'll see. But that is all the movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to stay subscribed to the channel. It really means a lot to me. Also follow me on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, my name is Chris. Take care.